Hi, I'm doing a video on a T21 that I modded for a person on Bitcoin Talk. This is the unit. You can see it right here. That's the Ethernet cable plugged into it. And I'm going to show you the power cord. Power cord is now plugged into this watts meter here. So if you look up here, this is it on the highest speeds that it can be safely set. It's doing 60.7, 60.8 TH, about 1200 watts, about 17 to 19 watts efficiency. And this is about as fast as you can set it. If you go any faster than this, it'll struggle for it to run well on chips. If you look a little more, just a sec here, these will show you chips. Since I have it set as fast as I can, this one chip is slightly under voltage. You can see it's struggling. That chip is slightly struggling. All the other chips are pretty much green. The overall performance is in the high 90s. That's why you can't set this any higher than 61 TH. In order to set it, you go over here to performance settings. You can see performance settings right there. You can click on that. Then you can come over to here, and you can see the lowest possible frequency. And forget that frequency, you can't possibly get it there. I have it at frequency 450. That's about as high as you can set it. You can drop it down 5 at a time, as you see. I'm dropping it down to 400 frequency. Coming back over to here, and I'll click apply. Then I'll come back up to the dashboard. And then you can see it's resetting, and it dropped down to 56 TH instead of 60, 61, 55 TH. The efficiency was 89 inch, it was 98 and change, now it's 99. It goes up a bit. Wattage drops down. Temperature's pretty stable. You have to have fans relatively fast to run at the highest speeds. 70% fan, 5100 RPM. You can go ahead, you can do a lot lower and lower. Here's a little example of settings that I would use. You can look up to here. Kind of shows you the possible settings. You can go to 225 frequency. You look a little more. You can go to 300, 375, 400. The different speeds, different fan settings. And you can see if you lower the fan a bit, it'll still stay cool if you lower the frequency a bit. Now I had just lowered the frequency by moving over to performance. Right there, performance. I lowered the frequency from 450 to 400. And it there shows you that we're at 54 instead of that 60 you saw. She cooled off a bit. And you could actually even lower the fan a little bit too. And the watts drop down, as you can see, a little bit. I really usually, if I run it, if I'm down in my den, I don't run it with the fans this fast in my den. It's too loud. You know, but I might run it when I'm sleeping at night. I sleep upstairs, so I might run it at fan speed 60% and maybe a frequency setting of 375. It warms up the room down here and nothing overheats. Most of your Bitmain machines, if it gets too warm, it wastes a lot of energy. so you don't want to waste energy. I'm going to change the cooling to 60%. Come over to here. You can see fans right there. And I'm changing the fans. Doing 60%. And 60%. I hit apply. The fan speed is set to 60%. You can immediately hear it's quieter. Go to that dashboard. Temperature may raise a little. Down now that fan speed is down to 4,500, 4,500. Around 99%, 98% efficient. Let's take a look at our chips. That low chip, it picked up a bit. The other low chip stayed about the same. And that's at a setting of 400 mH. You can find other information about each and every chip. Chip clocks, chip temperatures. I think temperatures works. You don't ever want to see anything like an 80 in these numbers. Doesn't show you voltages. But it does show also the hash rate of each chip, around 500. That's that 1 weak chip there. All pretty typical. What I'm going to do on this is I'm going to go over to performance again. There's performance. I'm going to drop it down to 350. There's your 350. I'll apply it. Down here it'll tell you it was applied. Back over to here, cooling. There's cooling. And I'm going to change those fans over to 55%. There you go. The fans were set. So now you can see you got a lot of variance. For me, I lowered it. You're now down to 48. Power will drop a little more. This, depending upon what you're doing, this can be in a room. Depends on what you're doing in the room. I mean, if I'm listening to music, it's still too loud. This is, I set it to 350. Here's some other examples of frequencies you can use. You really have the option by 5 points from 225 to 450. Any one of those numbers will work. 225 will be as low as 30, and you can get a very low fan speed and very quiet mining. And 450 will be as high as 60 with a higher fan speed and it's louder. Basically you have a range. Anything between 2 1/4 and 450 will work. If you go lower or beyond, you'll run into troubles. I got some more info over here. So this is really kind of what the gear is like. Now if you look over to here, you want to wait on a moment here. This is your all your instruction areas, dashboard settings, cooling. If you want to hide it a little, click the settings buttons. Everything kind of disappears. But if you want to do settings, click it again. They all come out. And then you'd want to configure your miner. You would come to here, miner configure. I have mine set on via BTC. Now I want to show you a little more. This is my router. I want you to look at this. My miner usually shows up with the number 150 at the end. This is the miner we're looking at right here. That's its name. Really try and clock that, because that'll probably, that does that game. It moves. There it is. That miner right there is the miner that I'm selling you. This right here, you want to remember that when you're looking on your router settings, because this is where your miner will be. The address, it'll find an empty address. It may most likely not be this matching address, because it'll find anything empty. So I don't know what your numbers are, if this is empty on yours, or even if you have a 0 here, but it will set a number. But when you find this name right there, that'll be where that